This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I hope you're having a good day today.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for stopping by, hanging out with us one more time. And Josh, you know what I want to talk to you about today is traveling.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's close to the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember your whole childhood? We lived up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, Virginia Beach, because your dad was still in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And then up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But everybody else lived down in Georgia or South Carolina.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we traveled every single Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, you got out of school, we loaded up, and that was our holiday was spent traveling. You know, the 7, 8, 9 hour drive.
Yeah, listening to Delilah.
Delilah. Yeah, right, and all that Christmas music, constant from the yes. So pretty much was like this. The whole trip down there was constant Christmas music, and then on the way back up was usually the CDs.
Yeah.
That because every Christmas for years, what I would do for your sister was just this eclectic collection of
Classic rock,
jazz, blues, country,
yeah.
classical, whatever it was,
Even the occasional rap song, apparently.
Well, I got her all kinds of stuff that people that she had never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, the ultimate rock band Heart. That's just things like that. And then also one time, when she was 16, I don't know what I was thinking. Who is it that sings Let's Get It On?
I don't know.
I can't remember the name. Let's Get It On. Anyway, I gave this to her and she goes like, "What are you trying to do?" Like I'm 16, I'm like, "Oh," because it was just a song that was on the CD. But just anyway, the point is that we would listen to all of that music on the way home. Then,
yeah.
So
yeah.
it was pretty cool in that regard.
Bangles, Pink Floyd, all kinds of stuff.
Anything and everything.
Yeah.
I think it's all relevant and important to experience.
Yeah.
Yep. One year we went to opera, which I love opera. You didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Oh, I love opera. It's one of my favorite things. But anyway, when we would travel, one thing that I noticed with you every single year without fail is that the thing that you packed, the thing that was the most important to you to make sure that you had with you, was a stack of books. Every single time, no matter what.
Yeah.
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 That was the most important thing. But I wanted to ask you about what it felt like for you to actually be doing something, because routine is everything.
Yeah.
And was everything for you, and today is everything for you, and traveling disrupts that routine. So what did that feel like when, was it excitement? Were you feeling excitement like the rest of us were excited about traveling?
To be perfectly honest, it was a big deal, but you had always made sure that we knew, that Haley and I knew, that we were going to be taking this trip a week or more in advance. So I'd be able to prepare myself mentally for it.
Right. It was usually about a month in advance.
Yeah.
Because what I would do is let you know when we were going, the date that we were going, and the time that we were leaving.
Yeah.
And then I would incorporate that upcoming experience into the shopping trips that we went on.
Yeah.
So whether it was buying a gift for somebody, this person is going to be there when we're there. So we're buying them this gift. or we need to go look for a gift because they're going to be there. The other thing is that when we would, pack, bake cookies or whatever it was that we were taking with us, that we would talk about the upcoming trip, and that this is for when we're down there. And I would always make sure to tell you that we would get down there, because usually it was, we wouldn't travel on Christmas Eve.
Right. Right.
So you would have a couple of days to get acclimated. And fortunately, this was something that being at Nana's house was something you were used to.
Yeah.
So.
Because, we used to live right next door to her at one point.
Well, yes, that's true. That came.
After I was a little kid.
Yeah. So I was trying to think about that. You're right. We traveled to her house after she moved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was important, I felt, for you to be told when we were going, down to the time that we were going, that who was going to be there, what was going to happen, and also to give you an opportunity to gather your things that you thought were significant enough to bring with you. And every single time it was that stack of books. The car, you would probably give up, a pillow, a blanket, anything. You would give it all up for you to be able to have your books with you. But what I'm talking about is that, especially when it came to travel, it seemed to me that you really needed to know what was going to happen well in advance. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. And what did the trip itself feel like to you?
It was, whenever we were going to Nana's and listening to Delilah, which is always soothing,
mm-hmm.
It was a little bit stressful,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I tried to keep in mind I wouldn't really call it the end goal,
mm-hmm.
but that's what it was. To
right.
be at Nana's.
Yeah. Right. Was that hard to do?
Sometimes it was, yeah. I'm a big foodie.
Yeah.
I love food.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that you guys did to make things easier, I guess, or just keep me quiet, I don't know which.
Both, probably.
would that every time we stopped at a gas station,
mm-hmm.
maybe not every time, but most of the times that we'd stop at a gas station, you'd let Haley and I get out and go into the little shopping thing, get
mm-hmm.
like a little thing of food and,
mm-hmm.
and drink.
Right. Mm-hmm. And we let you know that was coming up too.
Yeah.
So the best that we could, you can't always tell when you're traveling. You don't always know what's gonna be at what exit.
Right.
But this was a trip that we made so often that we really began to know what was what.
Where the best gas prices were.
And the best gas station food ever, hands down, is Sheetz.
Up in the north, yeah.
Yes, Pennsylvania and I think Maryland.
Yeah.
Is it in Virginia too?
I don't know.
That was your all-time favorite. That was always, you knew if you stopped at a Sheetz, you were going to score something good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So we did that. We always, tried to pack stuff too, to take with us, snacks and drinks and whatever it is that you'd need. We'd also stopped often.
So we could get out and stretch our legs and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you and I would also switch seats.
Mm.
Sometimes you would start to feel closed in.
Yeah.
And you also had an issue with vertigo, and when you traveled sometimes. Yeah. And so it was important to give you an option of getting out and just changing the seat sometimes helped.
Yeah.
So we did that. But what was it like for you building up to the actual trip? Did that make you nervous?
I don't think I ever really focused on the trip itself. I think I focused more on being at Nana's and being excited to be there because it was going to be Christmas and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Because you really love Christmas and you focus on what you're getting other people.
Yeah.
And that makes you really happy to buy these things. And even when you were little, remember at the elementary school, the little stores?
Yes, my gosh.
Santa's shop or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Or you would make things.
Yeah.
But whenever it came time to travel, though, what I'm asking you specifically about that, I know that I helped you a lot. I helped you to pack. We went through the days that we were going to be there.
Yeah.
We talked about these are how many days we're going to be there. You're going to need this many set of clothes. Nana has a washing machine and a dryer, so you don't have to take a set of clothes for every single day. I mean, we talked about everything.
Yeah.
From beginning to end, like everything that might, come up, everything to expect.
Yeah.
And just kept our fingers crossed that there wasn't anything that came up suddenly.
Yeah.
And also, what was that game that we played, that word game? Oh. What's it
there
called?
were several of them.
Yes, we played word games all the time, and that was a lot of fun. I forget what it is, but it's a like my I can't remember what it's called, but it's like my blog that's called Clearly Muddled.
Oh, what are they called? Not anagrams. Those are something completely different.
Completely different.
What's that term called? Where it's the opposite. It's like a conundrum of words.
Exactly, and I can't. And it's named. It's something. We would fill up pages of this.
Yeah.
All of us would just come up with stuff, and I can't remember what it's called. But that was so fun.
Yeah.
And all of you were really good at it. You and Haley both were really good at it.
Yeah. Like orderly chaos.
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, what I want to talk to you about now is flying.
Ooh. Okay.
So that came later on, and it's something that I think I'm not the only parent. I mean that gets kind of freaked out when it comes time to let your kids go and do things on their own and not be there holding their hand. And I would just say, in regards to that, I would say parents, if you focus on what your kids can't do, then both of you will essentially end up being limited. And as hard as it is, and as scary as it feels, it's important to facilitate new experiences and to really just step back and let them, soar. I guess, since we're talking about an airplane. That was one of the scariest things ever. You were flying cross country to go visit a friend, and everything was just like just like driving down to Nana's. We talked about everything.
Yeah.
I had called the airport. I called the airlines. I had
gotten in touch with TSA.
Anything and everything that I could do to find out how to help you to have a comfortable and safe experience.
Yeah.
Because I think that's always a concern, is that as well as you function in certain situations, we also know that when things get very unexpected sounds, unaccepted sights, feelings can
be
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And sometimes those things can cause you to shut down. That was the biggest fear for me, one of them. There was like a gazillion. But one of them was that something would happen and you would not know how to, you would not be able to work through it. And so I talked to all of them so that they could help you to get from one gate to the next gate and make sure you got on the plane. Not to leave you, but have you check in and give you instruction and just as safe as it could be. But it was still scary on my end. It was the scariest thing.
Yeah.
But there's an awful lot that comes with flying that I think that a lot of times people just take for granted. One thing is that
peanuts. No.
Everybody pretzels now.
Yeah, pretzels now. Yeah.
Right. Everybody at the airport, maybe not business people that travel all the time, and it's just common and a common experience for them.
Right.
But for the most part, people at the airport are anxious. They're excited. A lot of times they're sleep deprived because they've been getting ready for their trip. Yeah. They're either going in excitement to go see somebody, or sometimes sadness because they're leaving somebody.
Right.
And anything and everything in between. And
it can make for very short tempers as well.
A lot of different people going a lot of different directions. The lights are very bright. The sounds are very loud. And everything is unfamiliar. So it can feel like an overwhelming and a scary place, it seems like.
Yeah.
How did your experience go?
Well, let me start with the airport and then go on to being on the plane.
Okay.
So, whenever I would go to an airport, very first thing I would do would be to find out which terminal I have to get to. And that was always difficult. Because sometimes in my experience now, is that sometimes the terminal that it was supposed to be at changed.
Right. Which, let me just say that as much as I could prepare you, that was the kind of thing that I couldn't, be in control of, which is what freaked me out, because at that point in your life, I just felt like I had to have everything in place for you.
One of the cool things that the pilots actually did on my first trip was that one of the gates had actually changed, and so they went on to the intercom saying the speakers over throughout the whole plane, and started saying which terminals had changed, and then we could also check in with the flight attendants and find out if our destination had changed at all. Find out if our terminal had changed at all, I mean.
Your gate?
Yeah. And so that was one of the really cool things that they did that now that I'm thinking back on it, might have been facilitated because of you.
I think a lot of times I don't know if that particular flight, I imagine
that was on my first ever flight.
I've flown so much, and a lot of times when there's been a change, a lot of times they will announce that there's been a gate change.
Any other time? Oh, I had at least 2 other occasions where they didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, that first time, anybody and everybody that I could talk to about you flying to make sure that they were aware, that was done beforehand. So I don't know if it had anything to do with that or not. Right. I thought that it was like standard practice, but I don't really. I've flown so much. I'm thinking about it. I don't. I don't know. Because a lot of times when I get off a plane, I just check, the boards that are there to see what's, is it on time? Is it, you know,
Right.
what changes are they're coming up. So on the plane, when you walk onto a plane, even though you're still on the ground, there is it feels to me like a pressure difference. Maybe that's the wrong word, but it still feels different.
The ambiance, maybe?
Yeah. And how did you do having to be so close to people?
One of the things that I did was whenever I got to my seat, I always would find someone to talk to. Ask them if this was their first time. Ask them for any tips for first time flyers. That's what I did the very first time, was that I started talking to somebody and they gave me the advice to either chew gum or swallow a whole bunch whenever you're gaining altitude, because the air pressure changes will really affect your inner ear. And by doing that, by swallowing a whole bunch, it actually pops your ears a little bit, gradual amount, and then your ears don't have that painful feeling.
Right. Right. And it's funny because you do that so easily now when you talk to people. And do you remember going to just anything in like those gas stations we were talking about, how we asked for you to have a conversation with them, just polite conversations, to look at them and look at their faces and say, "How are you today?" You remember that?
No, I don't.
Wow, from the time you were a little tiny guy.
I just do that almost automatically now.
Yeah, boy, that was like a ritual. Every time we went someplace like this, conversations with people and back and forth is called banter. Yeah. We had to just tell you, from the very beginning, what it's about, why you do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then we had to let you know that it doesn't need to be a long conversation, because once you started that, you wouldn't know when to stop. Yeah. So just like going into the store, how you hold the door open for people, and you're very polite, and your dad does that, and he taught you to do that. I've gone into the store and look back, and you're holding the door for everybody instead of. Yeah. I just have to wait. This is funny. So you got some tips from people, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and over the flights themselves, I'd actually get to know the people some. And there are some amazing people that are on these planes sometimes, if they're not sleeping. Right, yeah.
Well, it's the thing about flying is that there's tight spaces, strange noises.
Yeah. Strange bathrooms.
Yeah, exactly. Those are awkward no matter who you are. But it can be something that's very, very difficult for people with autism to maneuver through, because there's so many new things and it's also weird.
Yeah.
Just the sensation of flying. If you've never done it before, it's just very, very strange.
Yeah. I remember that I was always so stressed out because I couldn't see where we were going. Like, I could look out to the sides and see things, but I couldn't stand not being able to see where we were going. And that always drove me crazy.
Does it still?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got to see what's ahead?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel comfortable flying now?
Fairly, yeah.
Does the tight space of an airplane bother you now?
Not anymore, no.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's, it has some getting used to. I mean, even on the medium-sized planes, for example, if there's 3 to a seat, or not 3 to a seat, but 3 to one side of the row, and you have to go to the bathroom, or somebody else has to go to the bathroom, there's always a whole bunch of shuffling there are some difficulties that arise from just being in an airplane up in the air, and always listen to what the pilots have to say. If you can't understand what they're saying, like they're saying something but you just can't hear them for some reason, ask a flight attendant if they can tell you what they said.
Something that I recommend is that to take an iPod if you have it, and or phone that if you want to watch a video, because a lot of
phones have to be turned off.
Well, they can be put in airplane mode.
Why did no one ever tell me this?
I didn't know it. That's funny. Yeah.
Game changer.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's so funny because as much as we've all tried to think about everything, there's always those little things that we just miss,
Yeah.
So a lot of things have progressed since you were a little guy, and we went through all the things that we just talked about, and trying to help you to be successful in these new adventures.
Yeah. Even today, you still do little things that will help me on a trip. Like, for example, even if it's just going to Haley's house to watch the kids overnight, you still will run through a checklist with me,
right?
If I ask you to. And
sometimes if you don't ask me to.
Yeah, sometimes then too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So it's just something that's always been helpful to me.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. There are some pretty cool supports out there now that were not there when you were a little guy. And so I just want to talk about a couple of them real quick, because I know that you have to go pretty soon.
Yeah.
So one of them is that there's a it's called Blue Horizon Horizons events. And what they do is they work with people on the spectrum, and they practice boarding the plane and even taxiing around the tarmac. And they have the opportunity then to go through an airport, get on a plane, see what that feels like. That's something that's called Blue Horizons. Okay. And people can check into that, and that's a support. So again, I would say to you, like, the second time you flew was easier than the first time you flew.
Yeah.
So if somebody gets the opportunity to do this without having the stress of actually going someplace, it is easier. Something that can become familiar instead of new and scary.
Right.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
When we're talking about traveling, there's all kinds of things out there now for people that want to travel. I think even places to stay. There's like CARD works with CARD is the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities. They say that the Tradewinds Resort in St. Petersburg, Florida, is one of 5 destinations that has been designated as autism friendly.
Oh, wow.
Right. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They give guided tours. Their agents. It's like there's a ASD Vacations. There's one place, ASD Vacations. Another
Autism
one,
Spectrum Disorder Vacations.
Correct. Another one is A Million Senses. and the guided tour. They specialize in hotels for autistic people or parents with kids on the autism spectrum. And they can be great because they help to get... they have agents that are familiar with floor plans, hotel amenities, types of rooms, and will be able to help with specific answers for any type of special needs. And, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
Because hotels can be scary.
Yeah.
It's so, the noise, again, strange noises, new smells, not your own bed.
Yeah.
And kind of a strange kind of a thing. Anyway, that launched in 2015. Is an Airbnb style service for people with disabilities of all kinds. And so that whether you have autism or you're in a wheelchair, they can help out. They can help out to... You gave me the 5-minute sign, so I got to hurry up here. There's cruises that are setups for people with autism.
I don't think I've been on a cruise before. Unless you count the Tiger Cruise on Dad's ship.
Oh, that was pretty cool, but I don't know that could... Yeah. Yeah. Theme parks. Right now. They... like Legoland in Florida. They're super supportive of sensory challenges. Oh. And every staff member has been trained to understand special needs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Dollywood in Tennessee. That's less hectic. Another thing that I think is pretty cool is AMC theaters. They do something that I think is really pretty awesome. So AMC has partnered with the Autism Society and they offer unique movie showings where they turn down the lights and I'm sorry, I said that backwards. They turn the lights up and they turn the sound down. So that people don't have to stay in their seat, and if they need to get up, it's bright so that they can see where they're going, so they're not going to get hurt.
Oh.
The sound is turned down because you know that sound you know this from experience. You're very sensitive to sound. Mm-hmm. And it is usually the sensory-friendly film program is what it's called. So it's AMC Sensory-Friendly Films. And it's the second and fourth Saturday and Tuesday evenings for mature audiences. Tuesday evenings for mature audiences of every month. And those are across the country. Oh. So not every theater does that, but they do this. AMC theaters do this across the country.
Okay.
Yeah. So people can just look into that and see what it is they're going to... the ones that are local to them. Well, I do want to go back to the opportunities in the airport again. It's called Wings for Autism and Wings for All. And what's really cool about that is that it's like at airport rehearsals. It's designed to alleviate the stress of entering an airport, obtaining boarding passes, going through security and boarding a plane, all of that. So what that's called is Wings for Autism, Wings for All.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's really pretty cool. There's an awful lot out there to help people on the spectrum to be comfortable traveling. And so that it takes the as much of the fear out of it as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really cool because our society is really beginning to understand that because somebody's on the spectrum doesn't take away from them needing and wanting to live a full life, which oftentimes includes travel.
Right.
And so it's really cool. I think that these experiences are available for people on the spectrum that these companies and organizations have put in motion just to provide the support that would make it easier to do these things, to have a full life.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much it today. I know that you have to head out.
Yeah.
But it's Christmas time. A lot of people are out there flying and driving, and there's a lot of traveling taking place this time of year.
Yeah.
And
planes, trains, and automobiles.
That's right. And that includes people on the spectrum.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, I think, that there's opportunities out there to help alleviate some of that stress.
Yeah.
So, Josh, next week is Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Next week?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I know. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. What? Tuesday, right?
Yes, 5 days from now.
Oh,
it's
my
Christmas.
gosh.
I know. Pretty crazy. Yeah.
I have to wrap gifts.
With your favorite colored paper. Yeah. So, I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas. Be safe. Enjoy your families. We're sending you lots and lots of hugs. And love you.
Bye.